Part 2. Control your expenses. Elias woke up early in the morning. The sun was just beginning to rise. He had been working hard at the garage fixing a difficult engine. He was very tired and very hungry. His stomach growled as he thought about breakfast. He walked to the small diner near his workplace. The smell of pancakes and bacon filled the air. It made his mouth water. He entered the diner and found an empty booth. The seat was cool against his back as he sat down. Elias picked up the menu and looked at the choices. His eyes stopped on the special of the day. It was a big plate with pancakes, eggs, bacon, and hash browns. He could almost taste the sweet syrup on the warm pancakes. He smiled and was ready to order. Just then someone spoke. "Mind if I join you?" Elias looked up and saw Mr. Henderson. He was an old man with kind eyes and a friendly smile. Elias had known him for a long time. "Of course, Mr. Henderson," Elias said, moving over to make space. "Would you like to have breakfast with me?" Mr. Henderson sat down and looked at the menu. He smiled and said, "It looks delicious, but I think I will just have coffee and toast. I try not to eat too much." Elias raised an eyebrow. "But isn't breakfast the best meal of the day?" Mr. Henderson chuckled. "Yes, but eating wisely is important. Just like spending money wisely." Elias was curious. "What do you mean, Mr. Henderson?" Mr. Henderson took a sip of his coffee and leaned back. "Many people think making more money will solve their problems. But it's not just about how much you earn. It's also about how you spend your money." Elias listened carefully. "You work hard to earn money, right?" Mr. Henderson continued. "But then you spend it. You buy things you want like a new video game or a fancy dinner. These things make you happy for a short time, but they don't help you in the future." Elias nodded slowly. He had never thought about it like that before. "The secret," Mr. Henderson said, "is to control your expenses. Do you know the difference between needs and wants?" Elias thought for a moment. Needs are things we must have, like food, a home, and clothes. Wants are things we like but don't really need, like new shoes or a big TV. Mr. Henderson smiled. "Exactly. It's okay to buy things you want, but only after taking care of your needs and saving for the future." Elias thought about it. "So, I should spend my money wisely." "Yes," Mr. Henderson said. "Let me give you an example. Do you buy coffee here every morning?" Elias nodded. "Yes, I love my morning coffee." Mr. Henderson smiled. "A cup of coffee here costs about $1.50. If you bought a thermos for $40 and a bag of coffee for $20, you could make your own coffee at home. You would save about $45 a month. That's $540 a year." Elias was surprised. He never thought about it that way. "What about lunch?" Mr. Henderson asked. "Do you eat out every day?" Elias nodded. "Yes, it's easier than making lunch at home." "But eating out costs money," Mr. Henderson said. "How much do you spend on lunch each day?" Elias thought for a moment. "Maybe $10 a day." "That's $200 a month," Mr. Henderson said. "If you bring lunch from home just 3 times a week, you can save $60 a month. That's $720 a year." Elias' eyes widened. "Wow, I didn't know I was spending so much on food." Mr. Henderson nodded. "Small changes make a big difference. You don't need to stop enjoying life, but you should make smart choices." He sipped his coffee and continued. "Think about this. If you save an extra $100 a month, you will have $1,200 at the end of the year. That money can help you buy something important in the future, like a house or a car." Elias thought about Mr. Henderson's words. He realized that saving money was not about being unhappy. It was about making smart decisions for a better future. After that day, Elias decided to change his habits. He bought a small notebook and wrote down all his expenses. He was surprised to see how much he was spending on small things. Coffee, snacks, and movie tickets added up quickly. He made a plan. He started making coffee at home. He packed his lunch instead of eating out every day. He also stopped buying things he didn't really need. At first, it was difficult. Sometimes he wanted to buy something just for fun. But then he remembered Mr. Henderson's advice. Control your expenses. Elias found joy in simple things. He enjoyed cooking his own meals. He spent more time with friends at home instead of going out. He even started saving money in a small jar, just to see it grow. 1 year later, Elias looked at his savings. He had saved over $1,500 just by making small changes. He felt proud of himself. Now he had money for emergencies and future plans. One morning, Elias went back to the diner. He ordered a simple breakfast, toast and coffee, just like Mr. Henderson. As he sipped his coffee, he smiled. He had learned an important lesson. Spending money wisely was not about saying no to everything. It was about making smart choices and thinking about the future. Elias looked up and saw Mr. Henderson walking into the diner. He waved and invited him to sit down. Mr. Henderson smiled and joined him. "How are you doing, Elias?" he asked. "I'm doing great, Mr. Henderson," Elias said with a big smile. "And I've been saving money, just like you taught me." Mr. Henderson chuckled. "That's wonderful to hear, Elias. Remember, wealth is not just about earning money. It's about how you use it." Elias nodded. "I understand now, and I feel good knowing I am building a better future for myself." Mr. Henderson lifted his coffee cup. "To smart choices and a bright future." Elias lifted his cup too. "To a bright future," he said. And with that, they enjoyed their simple, yet meaningful breakfast together. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part of the story.